woe. The second went off. Look, the woe, the third comes quickly. And the seventh messenger trumpeted. And there were great sounds in the heavens, saying, the kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Master and his Christ, and he will be king into the ages of the ages. And the 24 older men sitting on their thrones before the God fell on their faces and worshipped the God, saying, we give good favor to you, Master, the God, the all-strength, the one being and the one who was, because you have received your great power and you became king. And the nations were angry, and your anger went, and the season came for the dead to be judged, and to give the wage to your slaves, the spokesmen and the holy ones, and the ones fearing your name, the small and the great, and to corrupt thoroughly the ones corrupting thoroughly the earth. And the temple of the God in the heaven was opened, and the box of his agreement was seen in his temple, and there were lightnings and sounds and thunders and shake and great hail. And a great sign was seen in the heaven, a woman having thrown around herself the sun and the moon underneath her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars, and in the womb having a child. And she shouts, having birth pains and being tormented to give birth. And another sign was seen in the heaven, and look, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 7 diadems. And his tail drags the third of the stars of the heaven and threw them into the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, the one being about to give birth, that when she might give birth, her child might be eaten up. And she gave birth to a male, a son, who was about to shepherd all the nations in an iron rod. And her child was seized to the God and to his throne, and the woman fled into the desert, where she has there a place having been prepared from the God, that there they might feed her 1,260 days. And there was war in the heaven. Michael and his messengers went to war with the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers made war. And he is not strong, and no place was found of them still in the heaven. And the great dragon, the ancient snake, the one being called Slander, and the adversary, the one deceiving the whole inhabited world, he was thrown into the earth, and his messengers were thrown with him. And I heard a great sound in the heavens, saying, now has come the deliverance and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ, because the accuser of our brothers was thrown, the one accusing them day and night before our God. And they themselves conquered him through the blood of the Lamb and through the word of their testimony, and they loved not their soul until death. Through this be merry the heavens and the ones tenting in them. Woe the earth and the sea, because the slanderer went down to you having great fury, having known that he has little season. And when the dragon saw that he was thrown into the earth, he pursued the woman who gave birth to the male. And the 2 wings of the great eagle were given to the woman, that she might fly into the desert into her place, where she is fed there season and seasons and half a season from face of the snake. And the snake threw water as a river from his mouth after the woman, that he might make her carried away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed down the river which the dragon threw from his mouth. And the dragon was angry on the woman, and he went off to make war with the remaining of her seed, the ones keeping the commands of the God and having the testimony of Jesus. And he was stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw coming up from the sea a wild animal having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns 10 diadems, and on his heads names of insult. And the wild animal that I saw was like a leopard, and his feet as a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave to him his power and his throne and great authority, and one from his heads as having been slaughtered in death. And his death blow was healed, and The whole earth marveled after the wild animal, and they worshiped the dragon because he gave the authority to the wild animal, and they worshiped the wild animal, saying, "Who is like the wild animal, and who is able to war with him?" And a mouth was given to him, speaking great things and insults, and authority was given to him to do this 42 months. And he opened his mouth into insults to the God, to insult his name and his tent, the ones tenting in the heaven. And it was given to him to make war with the holy ones and to conquer them. And authority was given to him over every tribe and people and tongue and nation, and all the ones residing on the earth will worship him, whose name has not been written in the small book of the life of the Lamb, the one having been slaughtered from foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let them hear. If any into captivity, off into captivity he goes. If any to be killed in sword, he in sword is to be killed. Here is the patience and the trust of the holy ones. And I saw another wild animal coming up from the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he was speaking as a dragon. And he does all the authority of the first wild animal before him, and he makes the earth and the ones residing in it, that they will worship the first wild animal whose death blow was healed. And he does great signs, that he might make even fire come down from the heaven into the earth before the humans, and he deceives the ones residing on the earth through the signs which were given him to do before the wild animal, saying to the ones residing on the earth to make an image to the wild animal who has the blow of the sword, and he lived. And it was given to him to give spirit to the image of the wild animal, that also the image of the wild animal might speak. And he might make as many as might not worship the image of the wild animal, that they might be killed. And he does all, the small and the great, and the rich and the poor, and the free and the slaves, that they might give to them a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and that none might be able to buy or to sell except the one having the mark, the name of the wild animal, or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. Let the one having mind calculate the number of the wild animal. Number 4 of man it is, and his number, hexakasioi, hexakonta, hex, 666. And I saw, and look, the Lamb having stood on the hill Zion, and with him 144,000, having his name and the name of his Father having been written on their foreheads. And I heard sound from the heaven, the sound of many waters, and the sound of great thunders. And the sound which I heard was like harpists playing harps in their harps. And they sing as a new song before the throne and before the 4 living ones and the older men. And no one was being able to learn the song except the 144,000, the ones having been bought from the earth. These are the ones who are not stained with women, for they are virgins. These are the ones following the Lamb wherever he might go off. These were bought from humans from the beginning, to the God and to the Lamb, and in their mouth was found no lie. They are blameless. And I saw another messenger flying in middle heaven, having an eternal good message to tell the good message to the ones sitting on the earth, and on every nation and tribe and tongue and people, saying in a great sound, "Fear the God and give to him splendor, because the hour of his judgment came. And worship the one having made the heaven and the earth and sea and springs of the waters." And another second messenger followed, saying, fell Babylon the Great, which all the nations have drank from the wine of the fury of her sexual immorality. And another third messenger followed them, saying in a great sound, "If anyone worships the wild animal in his image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, also he himself will drink from the wine of the fury of the God, the one having been mixed undiluted in the cup of his anger. And he will be tormented in fire and sulfur before holy messengers and before the Lamb. The smoke of their torment goes up into ages of ages, and they have not rest day and night, the ones worshiping the wild animal in his image, and if anyone receives the mark of his name."